Hello guys, and welcome back to Saber Outdoors. My name is Mark Alexander, and today we are going to dive back into our basics series. We're going to work on how to tie your lure, how to put on a certain kind of weight, and we're going to go through just the basic rigging of things, and then we're going to go use them, because that's what we do. We do this stuff and we use it. So first things first, we're going to teach you how to tie stuff. I figured if I use this big orange paracord, you will be able to see it better. So I'm going to move you all in closer so that you can see more what I'm doing on my table. So uno momento. All right guys, so I've got you up close, and you know, I couldn't find anything overly great to use for a hook placement, so I have a dustpan. But it has a hole in it, and I can use it to express the purpose that I'm trying to get through on this. So the first thing I'm going to do is teach you how to tie your hook. So there's an old knot that millions of fishermen know. I would say that it's probably the most famous, and it's relatively easy to tie. And just so everyone's understanding, we're not doing the overhand and then just double knot it. If you do this, you will lose fish, and you will lose respect with your fishing brethren. That is not a fishing knot. That is how you tie your shoes so they never come untied again, and you cut your laces off. So how properly to do this? Of course, you put the line through the hole. Take your what is known as the tag end. That's the end at the very end. This is what's known as the working end, going back to your fishing rod. So take your tag end, go around once, around twice, around a third time, around a fourth time, around a fifth time. Now that's gonna cause you to have a little loop at the very bottom. You take your tag and you put it through that loop. This is what's known as a clinch knot. If you tighten this down, and you can tighten this down, you can see right there, that is a clinch knot. Now, I didn't tighten it super tight because there's another step, and this is called an improved clinch knot. Now, same deal, same steps that I just showed you, but take your tag end and run it back through the hole that you made whenever you put it through the first loop, and then you tighten that down. When you do that, you're less likely to lose fish, because I've known the regular clinch knot, if you are using old or cheap line, if they pull really hard, they'll pull the knot in two. But when you're finished putting the knot, whichever one you decide to use, you clip it off, leave a little bit of tag on it, but not a lot. But that's the basics on how to tie that. I'm going to show you one more time without telling you the explanation. That way you can see it all through. So through your thing, around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cinch that down a little bit because I'm using paracord and not fishing line. All right, we have our improved clinch. Now, if we wanted to, if that's our regular clinch, if we want to make this improved, we take our line and put it back through that hole there, and then we cinch it down. And I use that knot almost exclusively. I don't use any of the more complicated knots, which I'm not going to get into in this video because I don't want to confuse my audience. Now, that is how you would tie a hook on. Now, if you're doing this for a weight, say your weight has an eye on it, just like this, I never, unless they're at the very end of my line, I never tie them like you just saw. I always take a loop of line and I will take that loop, pass it through the eye, and then I will pass, let me get me a little more line out here. I will pass line and all around the thing that I'm working with. And that way, when I bring it tight, the line is there and it can't come off. I mean, it can't come off, it can't move. But if I want to take this off, all I gotta do is loosen that up some and then take this loop and do the reverse with it. So go back over my thing. And then line comes off, no problem. I do that for all my weights. I do not use split shots. Split shots are fine if you're using them for light work, but if you're trying to catch any kind of big fish, they're not the deal. Because whenever you clamp that onto your line, that's a place, it's just like if I were to squeeze your arm and then tell you to cast your line. You couldn't do it comfortably, which means you probably couldn't do it right. And it would make a weak spot in your game. And same is true for that. It makes a weak spot in your line. That's why I don't use split shots unless it's one of those deals where it's like it's the only thing I have available, and that happens from time to time. But let me get my stuff cleaned up here, and I'm going to put you all back on wide, and that way you all can see the different ways that you can rig for live bait fishing. So I'll be right back with you. All right, now that I got you back where you can see me again, so I've got 3 different setups right here. So the first setup is, we're gonna save this one for a little later. Here's the real first setup. So the most basic setup is this one right here. It is a bobber and a hook. There is no weights between. You can put a weight if you want. I usually don't, because it gives it a nice natural fall when you don't have a weight. If I'm going to use a weight, I usually use something like what's on this. This has a jig head on it, and I'm going to get that a little closer so you can see. And right now it has a tube jig on that. But if I want a weight to get my lure down, like if I'm fishing really deep for fish, I'll do something like that usually. Unless I'm doing fishing for catfish. We'll talk about that momentarily. Now, a bobber. We have to have a quick conversation about bobbers. Bobbers, there are 3 kinds, 3 common materials that bobbers are made out of. So that is foam, plastic, and balsa. Now, the best, without a doubt, is foam. Foam is the way to go. And usually the foam is brightly colored like this, and you usually will get a lot better longevity out of foam. Plastic is especially bad for if you drop it on a rock, a piece of concrete, boat dock, anything hard. You drop that and it cracks even the smallest amount, that bobber is now worthless. You might as well just pitch it in the water. Or don't, because that's littering. Put it in your pocket and throw it away. But most bobbers, you either run the line through them, and then there is a stopper peg that you just put in the top to keep it still. Or they're like this one. This one is like a lot of other bobbers. You press the top, put your line on the bottom. There's a little hook on the bottom. Put your line in that hook and let go. And then you hold the bottom, just like this. And when you press down with your thumb, there is a hook on top as well. And you hook that on the top side. Now, most of the time, the little gap that's between the top and the bobber That's the top. And it's especially easy if your bobber has weight on it like this one does. That's what that dull piece is between the very bottom and this foam. But you will put that on just like this. So you will take your line, you will press that, hook it on, and let go, and it'll hold on. See, it's holding on just fine, but it ain't on there all the way. This, it will slip. So if you set the hook, you'll suddenly be 4 feet deep rather than an inch or 2 deep. But you take your line on top and put it on that hook as well. I usually wrap it behind and then over. That way I'm not trying to catch it. And you'll understand whenever you try it. But then your bobber's properly rigged and ready to go. Now, I started with this and I decided to hold it until a little later. This is a bottom rig. Now, bobber is for suspended fish. So that's somewhere up, round, through the water column. So this rig is made for the bottom. It sits on the bottom. And it has a sinker on the very bottom. The hook is actually up here while the sinker is down there. Now there's a reason for that. This is one of the few situations where I would use a split shot. So I had this rigged to fish around rocks, to fish around cover, because hooks cost a lot of money compared to weights. Weights, if I get this, say I get this, you know, on the end of my table, let's say this is a crevice between 2 rocks. I'm hung up. I can't get this out. If I pull, especially with a split shot, that split shot will slip off and I'll keep my hook. Split shots are cheap compared to hooks, because I can buy a pack of split shots for $1, whereas a pack of hooks is $3 or $4. But if I'm fishing just in a regular pond with doesn't have a lot of cover in it, I don't rig this way. I will rig the weight above, like you would expect. And I rig it the same way that you saw me rig earlier. I will put my loop through this hole and around the lure and then pull it tight, and it doesn't come off. It can't come off. I have to break the line or I have to back it off, which I will show you if I don't lose my fishing rod. It takes no time or effort. It does take a little bit of skill, I'll admit. There we are. There. That easy. That is completely loose from this rod and reel now. And to put it back on, I just get my loop, put it through that hole, put the loop completely around my sinker, and pull it tight, and it's back on. Boom, that fast. And I'm ready to go fishing. Now, the tag on this doesn't matter. The fish isn't going to be looking at this. It will be looking up here. And the way that you tie this, you just tie it with like a ton of tag in, and I put a loop at the end. But I could definitely be here and I could go into a lot more details about this. But I think that's enough details. Let's go to the pond and let's see if we can catch some fish. See you there. All right, guys, so we've made it to the pond and we're gonna try our luck live bait fishing, which our live bait's not alive, it is bread. So we're gonna see if we can catch something on bread. I've got a little bit bigger dough ball than I probably should have on it, but we're gonna give her a try. Get her right out there. Scooch over a little bit. I was right in the sun, I couldn't see a thing. Getting a few little hits, I got him. Ah, he's off. And I need to set this drag a little higher. All right, guys. First bite, first loss. Thankfully, I've got plenty of bread. We'll take a little smaller piece this time. I'm fishing such a small hook, but we'll give her another chance. Got him. All right, we've got a nice little nice bluegill. I don't know why he's bleeding, but he is. So we're gonna try and get him back in relatively fast. All right, hook's out. Tell your mama I'm coming for her. Back he goes. Wipe her hands on the grass a little bit. Let's get us a little more stuff. Whoa, my rig is all jacked up, but it'll come out. Let's get rigged up, get fixed up. Yeah, there we go. And let's try and catch another one. And you'll notice I'm reeling it in and letting it stop after a little bit. That is so that I will get, the lure will lift up and then it'll fall again. Didn't catch nothing that time, but we got a lot of pond to fish. There's another one. That's better. Ah, bless. About got nailed in the face with my own lure. That's the double-edged sword of a small hook. Sometimes you lose them like that, but that's all right. He ain't going nowhere. He's still in my pond. Boys, we're gonna take a pinch of this other and see if maybe my bread dried out or something. Must be that bread is getting dry, because that's staying on pretty decent. I think one came up and hit the bobber. I told you all about that earlier, I think. And that one didn't hit the bobber, he hit the bread. Looky there, looky there. Now that is proof of concept. This stuff works. It worked for my dad. It worked for your dad. It worked ever since a hook was invented. And yes, a hook was invented. There was something before a hook. But look at that. Let me turn him up right side up. Beautiful fish right there. But he's ready to go, and I don't want to get spined. So, see you later, my guy. Coming for you, mama. He jumped up out of the water. Goofy little thing. Let's see if we can catch one more. Just proof of concept, hat trick, whatever you want to call it. And then we might just throw this rest of this bread in and end our video. Had a nibble. I felt him for a moment, but I let up just enough for him to slip me. I stung him. He probably won't be back, but maybe he's got a dumb friend. Got that one? Ah! All right, guys, I think I'm gonna call it with that. That kind of hurt my pride some. So guys, I'm gonna set you probably on the toolbox of my truck, and I'm gonna wind this video up. All right, guys, so I've been fishing for a while now, and you see I keep getting bites. I keep catching a fish ever so often. I did learn something new today. So I brought bread, as you know, for bait. I left this just laying out and it dried out. I didn't realize that it would do that. So this is the way to do it. Put your bread in a bag. You don't have to have the bag shut, and it'll retain its moisture. I didn't know that. Learn something new every day. Now, as far as our little live bait rig, it probably would have done better if I had a little bit bigger hook, but you saw, we caught fish, we got bites, we accomplished the mission. The mission was to go and have fun fishing. So now that we've been through this, you now should have a functional knowledge of how to use live bait. You should know how to tie your own line. You should know how to put your own sinkers on. You should know how to put your own bobber on. You should be able to manage for yourself at least a little bit. This series is not about becoming a professional fisherman. This is about becoming a functional fisherman. And you saw, we functioned today. We caught fish. We got bites. We we had a little bit of aggravation, but you know, it's okay. That's part of fishing. If it weren't just a little bit vexing, it would get boring after a while. But all I'm going to ask for is the usual YouTube things: like, share, subscribe, make a comment, hit that bell. Please, please, please watch the videos. The videos are doing well, and I'm very appreciative, and I want them to do even more well. Share the video. Tell people about it. Tell them there's this weird guy online that's showing people how to fish and doing outdoor things. And just in any way, I very much appreciate your support. So with that, I guess I'm gonna go ahead and end this video. So we'll see you somewhere in the woods or on the water.